Hey guys, here's my comparison between the 2023 Bose QuietComfort headphones, the successor to the QC45s, and here are the Beats Studio Pros, which are the successor to the Beats Studio 3. Okay, so I have a list of topics I'm going to go over, and then near the end I'm going to score them in each of the categories and show you my final ratings for each headset, okay? So first of all, we have to talk about the build quality / durability, and this one is an easy win for the Bose QuietComforts. These are built a lot better. They're a lot more flexible, thicker plastics. They both have a plastic construction, but this one has a thicker, more solid feeling plastic. There's no creaking whatsoever, and it's very flexible. You can see this thing opens with ease. You don't have to worry about anything snapping or anything like that. The Beats, on the other hand, have that same construction as the Studio 3s and Studio 2s, which is what I was kind of worried about. Yes, everything looks really sleek and nice, but the build quality is a little bit subpar, okay? Previously, a lot of hinges have been broken here on the previous Studios and even the Studio Pros. I've seen people breaking the hinges already, and also, besides the hinges, what's been breaking is also this plastic shell here. This tends to crack over time from what I've seen. So those are the two main things you need to watch out for. And I don't know if you can hear this. It's just always creaking. There's creaking when you put it on, when you take it off. There's always creaking. And I try really hard not to extend this out that far when putting it on my head because I don't want it to snap. So build quality is a clear win for the Bose QuietComforts. Next category is design / aesthetics. And I mean, this is a pretty clear win for the Beats Studio Pros. I mean, this design is iconic. It's remained unchanged since the Studio 2s and the Studio 3s, but I mean, even to this day, this thing still looks really sleek and very attractive. Beats always knows how to make an attractive pair of headphones. You can see it looks very sleek, and you can't find any like screws out in the open. Everything is hidden, and yeah, Beats always looks good. The style here is a 10 out of 10 in my book. Like, this is their Bose QuietComfort design. I'm pretty sure this is the exact same design as the QC35-2s I've had. And it's also very similar to the Bose QC25, but just slightly different. Obviously, they don't look as sleek or aesthetic. There's like open vents. Also, there's screws out in the open everywhere. Very utilitarian. Like, this primarily focuses on function rather than the design. So the design, I'll give it to the Beats. Portability, they are both super portable headphones. This one, obviously, it can fold like so. And then this one can also fold, but it also has the swiveling ear cups. So this is how it usually stays in the carrying case. Beats Studio Pro has kind of like a soft kind of canvas kind of pouch. It's not the most protective case, and it's also much taller than the Bose case. As you can see, the Bose case is a lot more flat, so this is easier when you slip in a bag. This is a lot more compact. So they're both very portable headphones, but I'm giving the slight edge to the Bose over the Beats. Okay, next is the comfort, and this is also a clear victory for the Bose QCs. I mean, it's in the name, Bose QuietComfort. You know, the QuietComfort is renowned for their comfort. Everyone knows you can wear these for many hours. You can wear this non-stop, like the whole day on a flight or whatever. Everyone knows this is very comfortable. The clamping force is, like, it's tight, but it's not a strong clamping force. It's a very nice in between. Like, they feel light on the head, and you don't feel the clamping pressure, yet it stays pretty snug. So these ear cups are also really big. Your ear gets completely engulfed in the ear cup. So your ears, this is like a completely over the ear design, how it's supposed to be. My ear fits completely in this ear cup. So it's not resting on top of these ear pads. So very, very comfortable, and you don't get any kind of pressure on your ears. These, on the other hand, they have a very tight clamping force. So this is better if you're like an active person. You want to wear this while you're walking around. I know a lot of people wear these to the gym, stuff like that. This is going to be better because it won't move around, but the clamping force is tighter. There's not much flexibility in these ear cups, as you can see. You can't swivel them. Also, these leather ear pads, they're pretty shallow. This is kind of weird. It's not really an over-ear design. This is like an in-between of an on-ear and over-the-ear headphone. So these ear pads will be pressed against your ears, and your ears might actually even be pressing against the plastic drivers inside. So in terms of comfort, this wins easily. Though for me personally, this is not uncomfortable at the same time. I can wear this for many, many hours before it starts to get a little bit uncomfortable. But one thing you guys have to take into consideration is if you guys wear glasses, you definitely want to wear the Bose over the Beats, because if you're wearing glasses, it's going to be uncomfortable. Luckily, I don't wear glasses, but if you do, you definitely want to take into consideration the clamping force. I want to talk about the connectivity strength. They're both really strong. I don't have any issues using either of them, though I will give it to the Beats because this has never had any kind of cutouts on me whatsoever. It's very strong. I can walk around the house past, a few rooms and closed doors and walls and all that stuff. No issues. It's basically the same with these too, but there are a few times where the connection was kind of spotty on this for some reason. When I was messing around on the app while using this, the connection was kind of like cutting in and out, and it was really annoying, and this has happened a few times already. The only way I could fix it was to turn off the headset and turn it back on. So sometimes the connection with this can be a little bit weird, but in general, like 95% of the time, this works just fine. So I'm giving a very slight edge to the Beats in terms of connectivity strength. Okay, so the controls and interface, I'm giving a slight edge to the Bose here. I mean, it's very, very practical. You have physical buttons on each of the ear cups. This is your play, pause, volume up and down, your power on and off button, and this is like your custom button that you can set to do whatever you want. So this one, if I hold it, it will tell me the battery percentage, and if you click it, it can change between like transparency mode and noise cancellation mode. So very, very practical, and it's very easy to use, but obviously you do have physical buttons sticking out. This one is not as practical, but it's still very, very easy to use. You do have a physical power button here, which can sometimes be hard to reach for if you're not used to it, but I have no problems. This will also tell you your battery percentage through 5 LED lights. The thing with that is, if you're wearing these and you don't have your phone with you to check the battery percentage, you have to take this off and click this light to show how much battery you have. It's not like with the Bose where you can tap this or hold it, and then there's a voice prompt that actually tells you how much percentage you have. This one you won't know until you take it off and take a look at the button. But on the other side, the left side, is where you're going to have your play, pause, volume up and volume down, stuff like that. Also physical buttons, which I love, but it does feel a little plasticky and cheap. So if you're wearing this and you press the buttons, it can get pretty loud inside the ear cup because it is very hollow plastic and it does feel cheap. So, that's just how it is. But they both are really easy to use day to day, but I will give the advantage to the Bose. Next is the features. And I'll give the slight win to the Beats in this department, though honestly both of them don't really have the best feature set. This one has more features than the Bose, but arguably the Bose has more important features. So the Bose has customizable EQ in the Bose app and also multi-point connectivity. The EQ is very, very important with these headphones, which I will get into when I talk about the sound, but it's kind of necessary on these headphones. Multi-point is also really nice to have. I connect this to my Mac and my Z Fold 5 at the same time, and it's very seamless transitioning from my computer or my phone, and yeah, it just starts playing audio from whatever device I'm using. So very, very handy. This one has more features, but most of them are like gimmicky kind of. So this has the lossless USB-C mode, which is nice. I wouldn't say that's a gimmick, and it's actually pretty cool because you can use it while it's charging. So in the USB-C mode, you can use this while it's charging and still play audio out of it. The spatial audio and head tracking features on this, that's what I would say is like gimmicky. It's like only available on Mac and iPhone. It doesn't work on Android or anything like that. So that's just like a kind of like an audio effect that kind of makes it seem like you're in like a surround sound room. I'm not a big fan of all that gimmicky like audio kind of stuff, so that does not affect my decision at all. But this does have that head tracking and spatial audio stuff if you are into that. And this also has the Find My feature, which I mean I heard is not that useful because this doesn't have an Apple chip, so you can't find these headphones when they're turned off. The last location it will show is the last time they were turned on. So that's not really that helpful in my opinion. But again, it's another feature that this has that the Bose doesn't have. This does not have multi-point connection, but that hasn't really bothered me that much. And that's because I have this paired to both my Mac and my Z Fold 5. Not at the same time, but just like it has connected to both. I was listening to stuff on my Mac and someone was calling me on my phone, and my phone automatically paired to my Beats before I took the call. So I thought, okay, like it doesn't have multi-point officially, but it kind of does the same thing. The Beats automatically switched to my phone when I got a phone call, so that's kind of interesting. I did not expect that, but that was pretty cool. So those are like the unique features of each one, but they both don't have like the greatest features out there. Unfortunately, neither of them have higher Bluetooth audio codecs like aptX or LDAC. I would really love to have LDAC. Using AAC on the Bose sucks. When it connects to my phone, which is my Samsung Z Fold 5, AAC for some reason is really distorted. Like the highs are really splashy and it has this weird artifact. So I have to switch to SBC manually every time I connect this to my phone, and that can only be done in the developer options. So that gets annoying. Every time I connect this, I need to switch it to SBC mode to not get that weird splashy highs. It doesn't do it to any Apple devices or Macs because the AAC on Apple devices are a lot better. So you don't have to worry about that. But for me, that's a problem and just gets annoying. I think it's because this also uses 5.1 in terms of like the Bluetooth version. While this uses Bluetooth 5.3, maybe that has something to do with it. Because when I'm using this connected to my phone and on AAC, I don't need to change the Bluetooth codec. It doesn't sound distorted on this. The highs are fine even on AAC. Both don't have the greatest features, but I'll give the slight edge to the Beats. Okay, so in terms of noise cancellation, this is also pretty obvious. The Bose is a clear winner. It's like class leading in terms of noise cancellation. Everybody knows Bose ANC is one of the best out there. This is not as strong, and it's also heavily dependent on your fit. Depending on how this fits on your ear, the ANC could be strong or weak. So you definitely want to mess around with the fit, make sure you get a good fit, because that heavily affects the ANC on this. Now the ANC on this is pretty good, though it's not as strong as this. If this was at a 10 out of 10, I would say this is close at about an 8 out of 10. It still blocks out a good amount of stuff in the background, but just not as strong as the Bose. Now, of course, the last thing I need to talk about is the sound quality, and this is the subjective category of this comparison because everyone prefers different tunings and whatnot. Just to preface this, I like well-tuned, balanced sound, but still I prefer a slight tilt to the warmer side, which makes it a little bit more fun and non-fatiguing. So an example of that would be my favorite IEM ever, which are my Moondrop X Clinical Dusk. If you've ever heard the Moondrop X Clinical Dusk, that is what I would personally call like a perfectly tuned frequency response in my personal opinion. So based off of that, when comparing these, I actually prefer the Studio Pro sound more to the Bose. This is with default settings. On default settings, I like the Beats sound way more than the Bose, and it's not even close. So it's weird how far we've come in 2024. Beats used to sound really horrible and bassy, but nowadays it's a lot more matured since Apple bought them, and they've been always making things sound better. Bose, on the other hand, used to be very neutral, right? And nowadays they sound like they're tuned to like almost be like your Skull Candy crushers, like the bass boosted headphones. It's kind of crazy how much bass is in these headphones nowadays. So the Bose has a crazy V-shaped sound tune. What was that saying? Like the no highs, no lows must be Bose. Yeah, that's like an old saying. It's not the case anymore. These are aggressively tuned to be V-shaped, and it's the case in both my QC45s and now this, but it's even worse here. I thought I was just crazy, but it doesn't seem like I'm the only one who thinks this. Even on the Sound Guys review, they say the exact same thing. This just has worse sound because the QC45 already had a bunch of bass, and now they just added even more bass to overpowering bass. So there's so much bass in here. So that's why I said earlier that the EQ is absolutely necessary when it comes to these headphones. After EQing, I currently use -10 bass, -2 for the mids, and -4 for the treble. And that kind of helps eliminate that crazy V-shaped sound to get a more balanced sound. And with this, it's a lot more tolerable. It's still not perfect, and I'm not completely satisfied with how this sounds. It still has way too much sub bass, and the treble can still be harsh sometimes with some shouty mids. If you decrease the bass in the treble, then it still sounds really harsh in the mids. If you don't decrease the bass as much to try to add a little bit more warmth, the bass ends up becoming overpowering and just annoying. So that's why it's really hard for me to get the Bose to sound good, even with the EQ. Now the Beats, on the other hand, is slightly U-shaped in its tuning, but it's overall much better tuned. The only problem is that this just sometimes sounds lifeless, and it's missing some dynamics. The treble is also pretty hot on these, but that's about it. There's nothing really annoying about the sound on the Beats when compared to the Bose, and I don't feel the need to EQ the Beats. In general though, EQ or not EQing the Bose, this sounds more dynamic, and it has a much more fun sound signature than the Beats. But even after EQing the Beats, I will say personally, I still prefer the sound of the Beats. And going into the other technicals, I would say soundstage, the Bose has a greater and wider soundstage, and it has a lot more depth. This can be wide, but you don't really feel like there's a much depth in there. Like, it still seems very close to you and flat, like it's 2D. So soundstage goes to the Bose. Clarity, I would say, is the Beats. This is a lot more clear. Detail retrieval is also better on the Beats. Dynamics, the Bose is better in that department. Now here's the thing, imaging is also better on the Beats. Even though the soundstage is wider and more airy on the Bose, it's kind of harder to pick out where things are coming from on the Bose compared to the Beats. Also, I'm going to say music accuracy goes to the Beats, and also instrument separation is a clear win for the Studio Pros. On here, it just sounds like a wide room, but it's hard to pick out where things are coming from, and all the instruments kind of sound like they're jumbled together. So in terms of like the technicalities, the Beats is actually superior to the Bose. So that is my conclusion for the sound. To me, the Studio Pros have better technicalities, but it can be more boring, and the treble can be sibilant in certain tracks. The Bose sounds more fun and dynamic, but it has an overbearing V-shaped tuning, and the technicalities are pretty subpar. Because I know how much people love overpowering bass and that V-shaped tuning, I think most people will think the Bose sounds better, which is completely fine because it is all subjective at the end of the day. But for me, if I'm going to score it, I will personally give it to the Beats Studio Pro. The sound by default is just way better than the Bose, and trying to EQ the Bose is annoying and very difficult to get right. I like the sound better than the Bose. Okay, so now we come to the conclusion. Taking away sound out of the equation, because again, it's all subjective and people can prefer either side. The Bose in general are the better headphones for most people. They're much better built. They have a legendary noise cancellation, and they're also super comfortable. If you travel a lot, these are like the headphones for you because it's super comfortable and the noise cancellation will help drown out some of that airplane engine noise. The Bose generally cost more though, and they don't go on huge sales like the Beats, so you probably need to save up a little bit more to get the Bose. Personally, because I care a lot about the sound and I don't have any comfort issues with the Beats, and I also don't travel that often, I think for an everyday carry, I'm going to be bringing around my Beats Studio Pros. They are going to be my new companion. I just don't hope they don't snap anytime soon. But when I'm traveling, like when I will be going to Japan in September, I am definitely going to be bringing around my Bose QuietComforts because they will just be perfect for a long flight. So that's it for this comparison between the Beats Studio Pro and the Bose QuietComfort. Both headphones I reviewed here are the 2023 editions. They are the latest versions of their respective headphones. Yeah, hopefully this video helped you guys out if you guys were thinking about picking up a new pair of headphones. The Beats regularly go on sale. I think my first video I posted on the Studio Pros a week ago, they were selling for $250, and currently, as I'm making this video right now, they are $180 on pretty much every single website. Official Apple website, Best Buy, whatever, Verizon, all that. These are currently for $180, and that is a really good price for the Beats Studio Pros. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.